Behold, what I deem to be the most efficient workforce. The Bean People.
Wow, are they even alive?
Don't downplay my genius discoveries.
I'm sorry, it's just they're never any good.
Okay, you know what? You're always ruining my fun. You're fired. Get out of here.
Fine, I wasn't even getting much from this hellhole anyways.
Hello everybody! Today we're taking a look at Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, initially released for the Sega Genesis on November 26th of 1993 in North America. However, there were 8-bit ports in 93 and 94 for the Sega Master System and the Game Gear, as well as numerous re-releases of the 16-bit version. This is a game based off the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Snooping as usual, I see.
If you didn't remember it before, I'm sure that clip rang a bell. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is a North America and Europe localized version of Puyo Puyo. Now, my introduction to this game isn't all too much. It was essentially packed in on one of those cheap-ass at-games portable Sega Genesises, and yeah, it was just a game I found real cool. I'll go over Puyo Puyo once we get into the game, but essentially, this is a Robotnik-themed puzzle game, the same as the 1995 release of Kirby's Avalanche. Also, I like how they had to denote that this game was a puzzle game. Well, I mean, to be fair, if you saw some fat-ass yelling at a bunch of weird robots, you'd be confused too. While Puyo Puyo isn't all too popular, it's still fairly well known. I put it around maybe Dr. Mario status. If you play video games a good bit, then you probably know about it. That, and it's about as well as thought out as games like this. It's definitely higher than Yoshi though, that's for sure. Well, I guess it's time we check in on that no-good Eggman and see what he's up to. So, Puyo Puyo is a gravity-based puzzle game. You're supposed to match 4 or more Puyos. It's primarily played against someone due to the focus being combos and wiping out an opponent. Now, I'm sure kids in the 90s loved evil obese men and not anime girls. Or at least, not yet. Now I'm sure you're familiar with Puyo Puyo nowadays, but 1993 wasn't like nowadays. It was like 1993! Anyways, hey look! A menu! Let's check out options first. Now the options given here are pretty filled out. This console game from 93 has control configuration and an input test. Although the CPU difficulty and 2-player match length are also stored here, which is a little annoying, although it was somewhat standard practice at the time, so I'll give it a pass. Sampling? I don't know what it is, but it's here for all you sampling fans, and you better believe it's on. Next, we'll delve into the exercise mode. Don't forget the stretch. Exercise mode is your standard classic style mode. Just jump in and play the core version of the game. Here you can set point goals for you to meet as an incentive. A second player can join in as well, but in this case it's meant to be alongside you rather than against you. This mode also features 2 exclusive beans, Big Bean and Has Bean. I'll be using their Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine names for now. Sorry if you absolutely despise that like some kind of Puyo Puyo purist. Unfortunately, I do not care. But anyways, these guys show up when you're about to pass away. Sorta like a death streak. Alright, here's the multiplayer portion. It's virtually the same as versus CPU, but in this situation, you go up against another human being. In our case, it's my former half-assed assistant here.
I agreed to this reluctantly.
Here is where we now have the ability to toss refugee beans to cover up the other player's field. You're also kindly given 5 difficulty options to balance things out between different types of players. Oh, your fucking career just ended right in front of you!
So what's your opinions on light skins?
The fuck kind of conversation is that?
Will you do a light skin review?
I'm not engaging in this conversation. Okay. I see you're trying to sabotage my livelihood. I need to ask you to leave again.
Okay, whatever you say.
Last, we have Scenario Mode, aka Story Mode, aka the Campaign. So the story goes, Robotnik has kidnapped the Beanfolk of Beanville and is using one of his roboticizers on them to create an army in order to get rid of music and fun forever. Wait, music and fun? If that's the case, I shouldn't be playing this! Now I get if a villain does this because they never get to have fun and or find good music. But Robotnik definitely has that in his life, so he'd be eliminating it for himself as well. To be fair, Robotnik, while still a genius, isn't all too bright. Anyways, you're now set off to destroy everything. I guess you just play as yourself, seeing as all the henchmen refer to you in ambiguous terms, but don't take my word for it, this is just an educated guess. So what do we, the player, do to these mean bean steaming machine guards? Well, why we use their own weapon against them, of course. You kill Beanville residents to send refugee beanfolk until the guy you're fighting can't handle it anymore. The bean people don't seem to mind. So you go through this barrage of robots ripped directly from the show. All have their personalities intact and are well represented, even down to their playstyle. Somewhat. Rougher characters play faster and slam their beans down. Smarter characters tend to go for big combos. At the end though, they all just become hard CPUs and all play smart. Here's an idea. How about we follow the game all the way through while I discuss the mechanics of Puyo Puyo? Stage 1. Arms. Arms is the first robot you meet on your way to the machine. He plays as simple as you can. Slight combos and matching 4 or more beans for small garbage amounts as you do in Puyo Puyo. Stage 2. Frankly. He does very strong fast drops to intimidate you. Later on he takes his time to play smart. Unfortunately he got served with a high combo count here. The more matches in a combo the bigger the garbage count. Any matches higher than the allocated 4 also add 1 more to the pile of garbage for every extra bean in the fray. Stage 3. Humpty. He's about as fast as Arms, but plays much better in the second half as he tends to recover from combos better. He does this by cleaning beans around the garbage because that's how the garbage works in this game. Wow. Stage 4. Coconuts. A familiar face. He plays slightly faster and likes to build a border on his board. Doesn't really help him much though, just makes it look like he's losing because he puts beans in the danger zone. Remember, the middle part at the top of the board is a no-no spot. Stage 5. Davy Sprocket. What I feel to be the first proper opponent, as he doesn't play as slow as the others. Now the AI fully commits to fast drops. The music gets faster as he's the first in the next set of 4. Each set of 4 is categorized by the music that plays and is grouped by progressive difficulty. They also have different overworld themes. Also, still on the topic of the music speeding up, I think I'm gonna do the same because most of the AIs tend to blend together and I'm running out of Puyo Puyo basics to explain because the game is so pick up and play easy to understand. Not sure if it's hard to master since my brain decided Dr. Mario is the only thing I'm gonna be good at. Although getting good at Tetris would be fun. Maybe even Pipe Dream. The NES one. Yeah, okay, let's actually continue the video. I'm getting sidetracked. Stage 6. Squeal. Actually challenging now. One thing to learn, never play through OBS. It's hard as fuck with the level of latency. In some of these later clips, I suck balls. CRTs are so much nicer. Be warned if bad Puyo Puyo clips hurt your nerd ass brain. Stage 7. Dynamite. Real creative. Kinda easier for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Stage 8. Grounder. Very familiar face. A good bit smarter than the rest, despite his character on the show. Stage 9. Spike. Now entering the last set of 4. And different music. Finally. A good incremental increase in difficulty from Grounder. Stage 10. Surf Fuzzy Logic. Looks intimidating, but all of the guys in this set are more or less the same. Stage 11. Dragon Breath. He does heavy drops. Stage 12. Scratch. Another very familiar face is the last of the normal enemies, as Stage 13 is hosted by Satan. I mean, Dr. Robotnik. You know, I was gonna question why the game's final level was 13, but it makes sense now. Also, if it isn't obvious, everyone else is just a reskin too. So I said maybe on the character description and playstyle. But yeah, you kick Robotnik's ass, which isn't too hard as he's about as difficult as the last 3 fights. And you're done. Credits roll and I move on to my final verdict. Final verdict. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine drops a 7.5 out of 10. It is the first Puyo Puyo game after all, just with a nice coat of Eggman. The reason it's not as good as it could be is that it's severely lacking in extra material. Although you can't just exhaust all your ideas in one fell swoop, so it's understandable. Plus, again, it's the first game. Very accurate to the show, and only characters from it are used here, except Has-Been and other Puyo Puyo things. The game is great, and if you like Puyo Puyo or just puzzle games in general, do not hesitate to try it. And there you have it, my review of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Definitely a smaller port of the game, but to be fair, there wasn't much for the game at the time. Realistically, all it comes down to is how much of Puyo Puyo do you want, and what version. Do you want Robotnik? Do you want Kirby? Do you want actual Puyo Puyo characters? That's literally just down to preference. The game itself, though, is fine enough. I like it. And you know what? The multiplayer segment was pretty sick. It's kind of empty. Fuck, man. I need to get my assistant back. Listen, hey, I've been crunching some numbers. You know what? I think you can add a 50-cent pay increase. And guess what? What are 2 added benefits? I know you wanted that Pornhub Premium membership.